Hey, I'm Ted Santos, and I am from Straight Talk. We are the talk show made for men by men. Except, ladies, you never want to miss it. And I'm out here in the state of New Jersey with a great backdrop of New York City, right across the river, looking at the Hudson River right there. And I'm just hanging out. I guess this is what you call a semi-quarantine. And I wanted to have a conversation with you about what Straight Talk is usually discussing. Wanted to have a very straight conversation about relationships. And I wanted to talk about a post that someone created, and I dropped it into the group. And I wrote down what the post is saying. Sorry if I'm making this a little bit crazy with all the motion. Try to keep it still so you all don't lose focus. But I want to read what someone wrote. And this is really all about making someone happy. I think a lot of us think that it's our job to make someone happy when in fact it really isn't. No one can make another person happy. And this guy wrote, the biggest mistake you can make with a woman is to concern yourself with her happiness. If she's not happy, it's because she's incapable of it. Trying to change that will only bring you misery and failure. Yeah, I mean, he's right on the money with that. If you try to make anyone happy, even if she tries to make you happy, she's going to end up with misery and failure. So you technically cannot make another human being happy. You can't even make them sad. You can't make them mad. Generally, people are triggered by things. Even being happy can be a trigger for someone, right? You have fond memories of something you did with your brother or your father or your even an ex, and someone else does it, it makes you happy. Or what we're told, the fairy tales that we read to little girls, and we think that's what a Prince Charming is supposed to do, and if you do all the things that Prince Charming is supposed to do, she's happy. I'm not sure if that gives you a lot of space to be yourself. You just follow the script of Prince Charming or the Disney movie. So I wanted to talk about how trying to make a woman happy, combine that with women have all these expectations of what you're supposed to do as a man for her. Like what you do with your resources, your money is her money and her money is hers. What she does to build with you, all of these things. Very difficult to make a relationship work. And even more crazy that we live in a society where women actually believe it's their job to tell a man what it means to be a man in a relationship. I mean, how does that even work, right? I mean, how does a woman know what it means to be a man and have all these answers for what men are supposed to do? I mean, imagine having a football team and you have a guy who's playing safety and he's watching everyone on the field and he knows what everyone is supposed to do, except he never knows what he's supposed to do on the field. He's got all the answers for what the linebackers should be doing and the defensive linemen, the tight ends. He knows everyone's job. And yet he gets burnt every single time. The offense, the guy with the ball gets by him because he's so focused on everyone else's job. Very difficult to have a team. So if you look at a relationship as a team sport, you play a role. And if a woman is so focused on what a man is supposed to do, she's never going to know her role. And if you doubt me, ask most women exactly what they think their role is in a relationship. And you'll usually come up with nothing. Sex and food, as though that's all a man. I guess that is what women think of us, that we just need to eat and have sex Yet we're still told we're supposed to protect and provide, and there's nothing else to us except sex and food. So if you're focused on just trying to make her happy and all she has to do is give you sex and food, probably not going to have the most powerful relationship, and you probably will never, as men, achieve any kind of economic power, because you're focused on trying to make a woman happy who doesn't even know her role in the relationship, right? And she doesn't even know what makes her happy, because that's your job. So I'd say the fact of the matter is no one can make another person happy. You just can't. Happiness is something you bring to the relationship. And if you're not bringing it to the relationship, then you are expecting the relationship to make you happy. That makes you a drain. That's like you're the person making withdrawals from a bank account and never making deposits. If you bring happiness to the relationship, then you are depositing happiness into the relationship, the same way you deposit money into a bank. And if you're not making deposits, do you really have a right to make withdrawals? So any man who's focused on just trying to make a woman happy, you're going to be drained. You're going to get overdraft fees. You're going to be broke. So it's not your job, ever. Besides, happiness, I mean, no one can give that to you. It's something either you have it or you don't. And technically, no one can ever take it from you unless you agree to let someone take it from you. It's like I was talking about triggers. Someone says, I've seen in my own gym where a man looks at a woman in the gym and she's triggered and angry with the guy. And all he did was look at her. And that woman was training to be on stage as not as a bodybuilder, as Miss Fitness, which means she's on stage posing and showing her cut and her forms, curvature in the body, yet she's angry when a man looks at her in the gym. She's triggered by something, and it had nothing to do with the guy because he never said anything to her. So, fellas, trying to think about making a woman happy, you're going to lose a lot. You're going to be a lot smarter and happier if you're focused on acquiring, right? Acquiring what, right? So acquiring power is one, and one way to acquire power is to acquire natural resources. You're going to need to own water supply, not water like this dirty Hudson River, but water that you can drink, that you can use for manufacturing. You're going to need iron ore. You need to own these things. Oil wells, gold, diamonds, silver. And even if you want to just recycle, that's cool. You need to own compost. You need to own land for food. You need to own land for waste. You need to own land to build communities, to build housing for people who work in your mines, in your manufacturing plants, who work in your retail stores. If you focus on building those kinds of things, then you'll be happy. If you focus on trying to make a woman happy, you're going to be miserable. She's not going to be happy. In fact, the more jobs, the more what you call women's rights, the happiness index for women is dropping. Women are less happy now than they were in the 70s. And women would claim in the 70s that, well, men had all the jobs and they didn't have anything. It was all unfair. So why are they less happy now? Maybe because men are so focused on trying to make women happy. Well, fellas, start thinking about building a community. And yes, we do need women in the community, especially if we're going to have something called generational wealth. And I know there are all kinds of conversation as to whether or not the next generation will squander the wealth or not. Then that's your job as a man. Your job, instead of trying to make a woman happy, develop yourself, acquire resources. And in developing yourself, acquiring resources, you need other men to support you. to combine resources so that you can own oil wells, so that you can own gold mines. But if you make it your occupation to make women happy, you'll die broke and miserable. But if you develop yourself, then you have something to offer her. You actually have some stable emotions, a stable mindset. You have some knowledge to be able to offer that stabilizes your relationship and promotes growth. And the same is what you'll need from her. But as a man, I'd say that's more your job, even more so than protect and provide. I mean, if you're not bringing stability to the relationship, if you're not bringing wisdom, if you're not bringing knowledge that allows you to go out and work and cooperate and collaborate with other men so that you can own the kind of resources, so that you can have the kind of freedom and power. I mean, just look at this pandemic that we have. Resources are going to be scarce. And if you don't own sufficient land, if you don't have the kind of cooperation and partnership with other men, then resources are scarce. Let this pandemic be a lesson. Let it be a lesson to what we focus on. If men are out here focusing on making women happy, you'll be broke and starving or in prison doing cheap labor. So this pandemic is a great opportunity to rethink where you put your priorities, what you focus on as a man. Develop yourself, conflict resolution. If you're going to work in partnership with men, understand how to resolve conflict and be able to come out on the other side with the actual intention that you set out to do. Learn how to network with other guys. Learn where valuable resources are so that you can develop your mind and be able to offer that to a woman, because that's going to be way more valuable than you trying to buy flowers and gifts and make her happy. I mean, if your relationship and happiness is predicated on what gifts you give her, you really don't have a relationship. And I understand that some of you guys believe that that's making it work. You have a huge commitment to buying gifts and making a woman feel special. But I promise you, if you develop yourself, you can make a woman a lot happier by making her a better woman, just like she can make you a better woman. So conflict resolution is a big way to go. Being able to think beyond what's just in front of you. Innovation. I talked about compost. There's some of you guys who have a lot of skills out there. And if you use them all to make women happy, yeah, you're going to be scavengers, getting the crumbs that someone else left that they just didn't want, the undesirable crumbs. So fellas, I'm urging you to get a focus. Instead of thinking about and using your resources to make a woman happy, use your resources to start looking at an end game. If you'd like to talk to me about conflict resolution skills, I'd love to put together a webinar while all this economic and virus problem is going on. I can be an extremely valuable resource in that regard. You can contact me, send me an email, either find me on Facebook if you're not in my Straight Talk group, or email me at tsantos@turnaroundip.com. And turnaround IP is like intellectual property. I think as men, we need to start thinking about what we're building together, and not like a pipe dream or a good idea. There are enough pieces of the puzzle that exist for us to actually come together and make something happen. I think women will have a lot more appreciation and power if we are able to do that, as opposed to having an intention to make women happy. I mean, just look at the other side of the river and what was built by men. You look at all those buildings. Women didn't build that. Men built it. They built it by coming together. Women are happy at the end result, but if you stand your ground and get clear about your commitments, and you produce results, they'll be happy with that. But don't let women tell you what it takes to be a man and what kind of things you have to build. This is going to be on us, not on the women. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. It's just going to take some good minds to bring them together and focus them like a laser. So fellas, the expectations that women have, don't let them run your life. If she wants you to make her happy, she needs to bring that to the relationship. That's not your job. Building is our job. Bringing wisdom, knowledge to the relationship. Things that will benefit her life. And then we need to put them to work. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this video. Like it, subscribe to my channel, dislike it, comment, share the video. I'd like to hear from you. And I'll be talking to you soon. Take care.